I realized that this was the secret to manifestation. Your ability to manifest anything is directly correlated to your level of your attachment and your level of belief. There's a difference between small T trauma and big T trauma, but both can have a significant impact on your ability to manifest the life you want. The way I use hypnosis is like a GPS system. My job is to give you the right directions and instructions so that you can actually follow that direction to get the outcome that you want.
So we dug into your origin story and we learned about some of the experiences that you had when you were young that affected you and led you to hypnosis and manifesting. Now you amassed 1 million followers on TikTok. You have millions of dollars in your bank account, investments, an entrepreneurial connoisseur. You help millions of people every day. How did you start teaching and coaching your practices of hypnosis?
To me, it was just like hypnosis is such a magical like tool, you know? And here's the thing, it's practical, and I'm the big practical neurological guy, but manifestation and specifically hypnosis, it feels miraculous, but it's actually a very ordinary practical process. And it changed my life so dramatically that I was like, why would I not spread this to as many people as possible? And also, of course, we want to make money. So I was like, oh, there's an opportunity here to not only help people, but to make money doing it. And I've always been like entrepreneur, you know, had my tattoo removal business, had a t-shirt business, still have that business actually, into real estate, you know, so I was always kind of entrepreneur minded. And I was like, okay, how do I make a business out of this and scale my impact? And at the time, everybody was like, well, you gotta be on TikTok. And I was like an 80-year-old man in a 32-year-old body.
What year is this?
This is 3 years ago, probably.
Okay.
And I had never,
21.
Yeah, 2021, 2022, right after COVID. I never really dabbled with social media as far as a marketing platform. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to start posting. And one of the first videos I posted was talking about manifestation and basically being like the anti-manifestation guy. Being like, everybody's got it wrong. This is the actual way to manifest. And here are the myths about the traditional process that you've learned. And it took off. And when I say it took off, it maybe got 10,000 views. My videos now get millions of views. But at the time, I was like, oh my God, this is 10,000 people watch this.
Brand new to the platform?
Brand new to the platform.
Yeah.
I said, oh, there must be something here. And something that I've always been really good at is reiterating and improving what's already worked. Whether that's modeling other people's success. You know, I really look up to a lot of people and I follow different people in the industry and even in entrepreneurship and business community. And I just ask myself, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And I try to replicate that to the best of my ability. And that even goes for myself. When I have a mistake, I try to do less of that thing. Or if I have something that I do good and it has impact, well, I try to do more of that thing. It's very simple. And so I found this formula for viral videos, specifically in relation to manifestation, which were also happening to help people because I was getting countless messages of like, dude, this just changed my life. Like one simple minute video of some information that I kind of had like a download about, if you will, and was able to articulate it in a specific way. It was changing people's lives. And I just doubled down on that. I started posting every single day. And originally I didn't have a plan. I just knew I wanted to get followers and I wanted to try to make money doing it. And because I was the manifestation guy, like kind of self-titled, I guess, because of the content I was creating, I told myself, I'm going to manifest 100,000 followers in 30 days. And in less than 30 days, I had 100,000 followers. So I was like, okay, what's the next step? I'm going to manifest 250,000 followers in the next couple months. Hit that in like the next 30 days. I was like, okay, well, next step is 500,000. Did that. And I was like, well, I got to shoot for 1 million now. And within like 9 or 10 months, I had 1 million followers on TikTok. Have, you know, about 80,000 now on Instagram. And, you know, we're trying to build the YouTube. And so I was actually in real time teaching people and also applying it to my own life, accomplishing these goals, speaking them to people, which is something we could probably talk about. Is, you know, a lot of people are afraid of telling people about their goals and their manifestations because they don't want the bad juju or the evil eye. I'm like, if you're not willing to share your manifestation, your goal, and like scream it from the rooftops, that tells me you have a limiting belief or a fear that's going to block you anyways. So I'm like I just put out recently, I'm going to, you know, get to 250,000 followers on Instagram in the next 3 months.
I screenshotted it.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm doing that, one, because I'm confident in it. And two, because I'm like speaking it into existence. There's power in the word. Like our voice is vibration. And if you're into kind of the more esoteric side of things, you should relate to this. It's like, use your voice, use the vibration to move the 3D world, to like affect change from a physical perspective. And so to dial this back into the origin of it all, I just blew up on TikTok, but I didn't know better. You couldn't have, like, some people were like, you had the audacity to think you get 1 million followers. I was like, I just didn't know better. I was like, 1 million, 2 million, it didn't matter to me because I had no experience in it. So
Right.
I had no attachment to the outcome, which is also important. When people manifest, the people who manifest the fastest, it's their level of attachment that is low and their level of belief that is high. And so that is the sweet spot for achieving a goal faster, for manifesting a specific thing, is being able to detach from the outcome in the process, but still having a belief in the fact that it's possible, that it's likely, and that you are capable of actually achieving it.
I mean, because everybody has an attachment to the end result of what you accomplished.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, and therein lies the problem, is the attachment. You know, if you want something, it implies that you don't have it.
So are you saying that in general manifestation practices, someone needs to really just let go control and just trust?
It's a balance, because this is where we begin to flirt with the spiritual side of things.
Okay.
The reason I'm able to let go is because everything that I need is something spiritual, not something material or physical. And so it allows me to disconnect and detach from physical outcomes, because I already have the spiritual side of things. And this is where we get into the most enlightened people that I've worked with, that I've met. And I'm not talking about specific religions or different faiths, right? From Christianity to Hinduism to Buddhist. When you begin to really assess the people that are the happiest and most at peace, it's they've detached from the material side. And when you look at manifestation, one of the key components, or one of the traditional methods that they talk about is, well, you got to step into the feeling of having the thing so that you can have the thing, so you can attract that to you. But if you can already bring up the feeling that the thing is going to get you, do you actually need the thing to feel the feeling?
Right. I mean, it's
so do you need the thing?
It's like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
But you basically went from obviously believing that you were capable of it, but course, coach, app. When did you first get the idea that you were going to be able to coach someone, not in the format of a TikTok video, but one-to-one coaching somebody when you were just learning the practices of hypnosis and manifestation on your own? You were just getting acquainted with it yourself. And then all of a sudden now you have the audacity to coach high-level CEOs, professional athletes, movie actors.
Yeah. I love how you reel me in, because this is very on brand for me, because when I do like my live calls for our private community, I go on these endless streams of consciousness, and people appreciate it. And sometimes I got to reel myself in. So I'm glad to have you here to do that, to get me back on track. But what ends up happening is these goals that I set for myself, I'm not always looking at like the big picture. I'm looking at it one incremental step at a time. And the analogy I give is getting stronger at the gym. You know, women can relate to this, guys, especially who like to lift and get bigger. It's like, you don't just shoot for like the 225 pound bench press with 2 plates on either side. You have to first lift the bar. Then you got to lift it maybe with the 45s on each side. And then you incrementally go up, progressive overload. And so I look at success the same way. It's progressive overload. So what can I achieve now based on my current capacity and ability that will allow me to actually improve my capacity and ability to achieve greater levels of success? And sure, sometimes you can skip steps. You know, you can kind of fly up the success ladder, but most of the time it's a simple formula. It's a simple process and elevation game where you're going to go from one level to the next. And it's how fast you do that, which is important.
So how did you first coach somebody?
How did I first coach somebody?
Yeah. When did you first get the idea that you were going to be able to coach someone one-to-one on hypnosis?
Are you implying that I didn't answer the first question you asked me?
You didn't answer it.
Also, speaking of going off the rails here, if people who are watching this, I have these red dots on my face.
No one can see that. Stop.
We're not editing it out. We're not editing it out.
No one can see it, but yeah, we're definitely not editing it out.
But for those who are wondering, I had a procedure. It's sebaceous hyperplasia. And so it's like an overactive oil gland that they have to electrocute off.
I think it's important for you to digress into the practical manifestation technique while we're storytelling, because it keeps people engaged in the fact that they can implement.
I love how you just like totally swiped over my sebaceous hyperplasia. Something very personal to me.
I can't even say that. Sebaceous hyperplasia.
All right, let's get back on track.
Yeah, we're on track.
All right. So
is that staying in?
Yeah, of course it's
Oh,
staying
okay.
in.
It's all
People
staying
love
in.
this.
Okay, good.
Comment below, or you know, send me a message on Instagram if you like the way we do these episodes.
Would you prefer that we stick to the script, or would you prefer that we just lose complete control?
Yeah.
Like hyperplasia?
Sebaceous. This we might edit. Don't edit this out.
Okay.
I just created my very own Hypnosis app where you can literally have me in your back pocket to help you lose weight faster, make more money, and make your success inevitable. I've combined ancient wisdom and modern day neuroscience to create this app where you can literally reprogram your own subconscious mind for success. To get started today, click the link below and grab your free 7-day trial. I'll see you on the inside. When did I start coaching people?
Was it first that you wanted to create a course that people could, I mean, you know, you're a marketing genius, so you knew that you were going to be able to market this through your TikTok and through your following. So was it the course before you were coaching?
No, so I was actually coaching before even social media, because I had this transition period where I'd learned hypnosis. I'd used it on myself. I was doing kind of fun, silly things with my friends and family. Then I started helping people like lose weight like I did, help people quit smoking, kind of the stereotypical hypnotic processes that you do when you're first starting out. And so this was also in transition when I was selling my tattoo removal company and transitioning full-time into coaching one-to-one, but it was local. I was like part of BNI, which is a networking chapter. You know, they're all over the world, but specifically here in New York. And I was focused mainly on one-to-one clients locally. Then when I went to social media, all of a sudden, when you start talking about things like, you know what you're talking about and you have some authority, people just start reaching out to you like, oh, how do I book a session? And that was like a light bulb moment for me too, is like, I just have to give away as much as possible for free, and people will naturally want to work with me and buy my stuff. I've had literal people who like, Anthony, I don't really need this because you've already taught, but like, how can I support you? And they're like asking me to give me money. And I think that's a phenomenal exchange, right? And so it was first through coaching, started doing it virtually with the power of Zoom. Kind of COVID got us into the process and the comfort of doing things virtually. And yes, hypnosis can work virtually. People always ask me, does hypnosis work over the computer just like it would in person? And what I always say, and this is 100% factual, is wherever you are most comfortable, hypnosis will have the highest efficacy. So most people are actually most comfortable in their own home or office with a computer in between us. You know, I'm a big dude, right? So when like a small woman would come into my office in person, I'm going to hypnotize her with her eyes closed. You know, there's obviously some subconscious resistance, sometimes outward resistance, you know, even though like people tell me I got a trusting face and, you know, whatever.
So people have a comfort level.
Yeah.
The most comfort and protected they feel is the most susceptible to hypnosis.
I would always joke with the women who would come into my office, and I would say, of course, I'm going to put my hand in your purse. Your eyes are closed and you're hypnotized, you know, and just break the ice a little bit.
Got it.
So started working one-to-one. Then all of a sudden, like high-level people started reaching out to me, and I was like, I can't believe this. There's like celebrities and professional athletes, Olympic athletes, just like in my DMs. I'm like nobody, you know, just a random dude putting out content, and getting to work with some high-level individuals, getting them really cool results specific to their industries. You know, we're talking about taking the top 1% to the top 0.1%, you know, 0.01%. And it was really a blessing. It was a culmination of luck, of effort, of perseverance that allowed me to grow and then ultimately help more people. And then eventually the conversation becomes, well, I want to stop trading time for money. And so how do you scale that? Well, you put your information into a different packaging, which is a course, which tends to be the typical trajectory. And then the question becomes, well, I don't really want to scale my impact and save some of my time. I want to also build equity in something. A course, you can't really build equity in. You have your business, but it's mostly you. So I was like, how can I do what I'm doing, build equity so I have something I could maybe sell later? And that's when I was like, oh, I could do an app. And so we created the MINDMOD app, which is basically a hypnosis library of all my exclusive extended hypnosis audios. And we'll be building out features and whatnot, but it's a really easy way for people to now consume what I do and learn and actually experience hypnosis right, from their back pocket.
Got it. So when you're teaching and coaching the 1%, the top 1% on hypnosis and manifestation, early on, obviously there's refinement, right? Did you discover anything, amazing through that process? Did you learn any kind of special tactics, or did you have any moments there in the early days when you first started coaching people who showed up in your DMs, celebrities? Mm-hmm. Did you have any realizations or discover anything yourself as a hypnotist?
Yeah, I would say the biggest revelation I had from working with the top 1% is that we're all dealing with the same shit. At every level, there's a different devil, but it's usually a similar devil, meaning it's the self-doubt, it's the insecurity, it's the low self-worth, it's the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, and everybody's dealing with it. Even the people that you see on TV and in the movies and on the court and on the field, they're dealing with performance anxiety related issues. They're dealing with the fear. They're dealing with the self-doubt and the need for validation. And so there's really only a small set of issues that I tend to work on with people because they're so universal and so common. And that would probably be the biggest revelation, is that we're all the same. We're all humans. We're all got our own bag of problems, and we all have our trauma. No one's trauma is inherently like more impactful than another person's, because even a small moment of trauma, what we call small T trauma, can impact someone more than like a big T trauma. And, I can't always empathize. I can empathize with people, but I can't always put them in their shoes, because your trauma is your trauma. I have my own trauma. I was born 7 weeks premature, had life-saving surgery twice when I was only days old. My real dad left when I was 2 years old, used to tell people that I wasn't his, grew up with a single mom for a majority of my life. My uncle, who's like my father's figure, killed himself when I was 20, dealt with, binge eating stuff, was overweight, was made fun of, I have a lot of trauma, but I've used all these processes, methods that I teach to overcome it. And it's evidenced in how I live my life now, what I've achieved, both, financially, materialistically, but even spiritually and emotionally.
So, what do you think sets you apart then, being that you've carried your own trauma into your practice, so to speak, right? As the results of hypnosis have bettered your life, and that's the reason for your teachings. What would you say is your it factor there? Like, why are you teaching hypnosis and manifesting the best? Why are you teaching? Why are your methods working as opposed to when it might not with another hypnotist?
I think what I really excel at is, one, being curious, but two, also being able to relate because of my past experiences. And I've always had an inclination to investigate why something is the way that it is, or why someone is the way they are. And that really lends a hand to the hypnotic process, because everything is programming. Who we are today is influenced by what happened to us when we were children. And so I love that process of investigating, okay, well, where did this fear come from? What trauma in your life, what person in your life actually gave you this programming that's not even yours to begin with? And it's through that investigation. It's really asking the right questions. Everybody always asks me, like, how do you coach better? How do you be a better mentor, or a better therapist, or a better hypnotist? It's like, learn to ask the right questions. But therein lies the problem, because many people think it's about finding solutions. It's not. It's about finding the right question to ask. That's the skill that needs to be developed.
You said being a better therapist. What you're explaining sounds like therapy.
So I'm not a medical professional. I don't even have a degree from college. I never finished. I had my own programming around finishing things. I never went to my Boy Scout stuff, didn't go to my 8th grade graduation, didn't finish high school, ended up bridging to a community college, didn't go to my community college graduation, didn't finish my bachelor's degree. So I've had to do my own work on finishing those sort of achievements. So just a disclaimer that I can't prescribe, can't treat, diagnose, etc. So what I do is more about teaching people how to help themselves. I'm just asking questions most of the time, and it's sparking insight and wisdom that the person already has internally. So we're kind of uncovering rather than me forcing my own belief system on people. I always say, My job is not to make you the best me, is to make you the best you. And so that is probably the main difference. Some of it may seem like therapeutic work, but I'm very careful not to cross that line.
Yeah, I mean, but it is the most comfortable position for someone to be in to share, right? And they do have to discover within. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the answers come from. You know, as corny or cliche as it sounds, most people already know what they have to do. They already know what the problem is. And so all these other solutions are already in there as well, like how to change it, you know, how to communicate with your unconscious mind, how to reprogram yourself. These are all, these are like inherent physical, spiritual, and mental truths that are accessible to all of us. We all have this power. We're all supercomputers that process terabytes of information any given moment. And so it's about, one, the educational component of teaching people how to lock into that and tap into it, but also giving them the path. I'm like a GPS system. I can't make someone go into hypnosis. I can't make someone do the work, but I can guide them in the right direction. And as long as they follow the directions, they're going to get to where we need to go.
You have the best car analogies.
It's always car analogies. It's like car analogies and workout analogies.
Yeah, the gym, I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's like you got your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. I'm like a GPS system. I can show you the way, but I can't take you there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next for us?
What is next? So the app is like, we're moving and grooving. Like that's my main goal, is because it's affordable, it's powerful, and it's easy to consume. Anybody can download an app. And most people can come up with I don't know, it's $9.99 a month or something like that. And that's a small investment for the change that you get. I know I said this before, and it's not to pat myself on my back, but I get dozens of messages a day, which is like hundreds a week, definitely hundreds a month, where people are like, oh man, that one video changed my life. That video that you posted 6 months ago got me through a tough time last year. You know, oh, I listened to that one weight loss hypnosis and I lost 26 pounds in 2 months. Like, this is stuff that I keep having evidence of, and it helps me stay motivated because I realize the impact. And so that's what I'm really committed to right now, is keeping hypnosis affordable and accessible. And if that's through my app, great. If it's through the content you consume for free, great. I'm just taking action, you know, in an aligned way where we tend to get the fruit of our harvest, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for us in this building. I mean, just being able to connect with you and listen to your teachings and consume your content and be a part of producing your content has elevated everyone's mindset at this production studio. So,
thanks,
you know, it's real. It works.
Yeah. And I always say I appreciate you trusting me to be a part of that process. I appreciate my clients, even people just watch my videos, like to take the time to give me their energy and to trust that I might know what I'm talking about and to actually apply what I teach them. That means a lot to me, you know, and it's a lot about proximity as well. Like what you might get from me from like maybe an encouragement or a mindset perspective, like I get from you guys in like a creative format. Like I'm in proximity to your creativity and to your passion, just like you're in proximity to my mindset and to my encouragement. And just that alone tends to yield a result and improvement for the other person.
When you look at your worldview, who do you see as the majority of people out there?
Ooh, this is a dangerous one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most people are on autopilot.
Okay.
And what you might call an NPC. You know?
Okay. So most people are moving on auto, right? Got it. So would you or would you not say that most people would benefit greatly from your teachings?
Yeah, I would say everybody could benefit from unlocking the power that they already have within using tools like hypnosis. No doubt about it, because I've seen it. I've seen it from the stay-at-home mom who wants to feel better about herself and more confident, to the professional athlete who needs to put up, 4 more points a game or something like that. So it's like the tangible metric-based result that you can get, or it's the subjective confidence, self-worth piece that you can get that everybody could benefit. Everybody's searching for that.
Yeah, and I've found that through our discussions, you've really been able to pinpoint what is holding somebody back, right? Like you said, they need to score 4 more points per game. What is holding them back? What might be holding them back? I mean, it's not they need to practice harder, right? It's not they need to, take in more protein. It's that some kind of event or experience in their past, 9 times out of 10, correct me if I'm wrong, has affected their ability and is keeping them self-sabotaging. Is that correct for the majority of people?
Yeah, I always say self-sabotage, not self-sabotage, self-protection. So when someone's not performing at their peak or not achieving their goals to the extent that they should be, they're protecting something. And so maybe for the person that needs to score an extra 4 points to be the best on their team or to be the best in the league or whatever it may be, or maybe it's a salesperson who needs to produce a certain amount of money to be the best and get a reward. Well, they may have learned that being at the top is bad because all eyes are on you. There's going to be judgment. Maybe they don't trust themselves with success or with money. So rather than getting to that point, they'll stay at their comfort zone because it's not safe to go beyond that, because they learn that that success or that level of success for some reason is bad or it's a threat to them. And so for me, it's about convincing their unconscious mind with them that's actually safe to be the best. It's safe to strive for excellence. It's safe to make a bunch of money. It's really this safety thing. When we think protection, what are we protecting ourselves? We're protecting ourselves from something that is subconsciously unsafe, or at least the perception of it is. So we need to flip that perception to it actually being safe.
Okay. So for me as a client, when the magic happens for me is when I finally quit smoking, is when I finally do make those extra 4 points. I make that extra $100,000. For you, you have to just trust that your process and teachings have done it enough for them to go out into their everyday life and for that magic to happen for them. In the process, is that you, Cha-ching?
Sold a t-shirt.
So for you in that process, when does the magic happen for you being the teacher?
So it sounds a little underwhelming, but to me, I've seen so many borderline miraculous changes happen in my clients that it's like, it's normal for me now. You know, like I've done thousands of repetitions of this. And I've refined the process, whereas now it's just like gravity. It just works. I don't even need someone to believe in it. I get so many skeptical people, big, muscular athletes who are like, no one can control me. I'm like strong-minded. Like, okay, dude, that's not what it's about. Just like follow my instructions and let's see what happens. And then they have some like mind-blowing result and their life changes and like, I get it now. So I've just seen that so many times. So it's like almost like numb to it, but not in a bad way, you know?
Right.
Because it should be normal. Excellence should be normal. Striving and like being in control and being in your power, like should just be the norm.
How many people would you say you've helped one-to-one?
One-to-one?
Yeah.
Over the past decade, I mean, over 1,000, I'd have to say.
Okay. And how many people do you think you've helped like in mass?
Well, millions. We just crossed over, I think, 100 million views at least on social media, which is crazy. 100 million views. Now, obviously, that's not 100 million people, but it could be, to some extent.
Right.
Which is weird if you think about the number of eyeballs. At least 200 million eyeballs.
Wow. You have an interesting way about it, man. You are miraculous, dude. Really. All right, cool. Yeah, well, hey, listen, everybody. Make sure you go back. If you're just seeing this episode and it's just seeing the Identity Factor podcast for the first time, make sure you go back and check out the catalog. We have the origin stories of Mr. Anthony Serino there laid out for you so that you can understand what it took for him to become the million-follower, multi-million-dollar G-Wagon driving most hated hypnotist man. Only on the Identity Factor.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you trusting me with your time. And if you love this content, you want to check out more of it, then you're going to want to watch one of these other videos above. We got a bunch of great content and videos on hypnosis, subconscious reprogramming, and general mindset philosophies, techniques, and methods. So check those out. And also, if you haven't done so already, make sure you grab my brand new hypnosis app. It's called MINDMOD. It has audios for everything from success to weight loss to even quitting smoking. It's all on there. So when you click the link in the description below, you get a free 7-day trial when you download today.